This is my 1978 Leyland Mini. It's an Australian car and it was my first car when I was 17. It's been sitting now for around 10 years and hasn't started, hasn't run, and the reason for that is, well, it started having some electrical problems and some timing issues, and I've just been buying parts on the side for it but haven't really tried to actually get it going in over a decade now. So this video is going to be a little bit different to some of the others we've done. What I'm doing in this video is going through what we need to do to get this car back on the road. The engine still turns, there's no major issues, the brakes are obviously shot now because they haven't been used for so long. So what I want to do in this video is go through all of the steps and things we need to do to get this car back on the road. Firstly, we're going to need to deal with the mechanicals, and then we're going to look at some bodywork issues, and then start to work our way through the trim and various other parts. So this will be a several part series video. I've been buying parts for this car over the years and I've always been into old Minis. This one is a 78 Australian Leyland Mini, so it's not a particularly special model, it's a standard Mini. It's not an LS, it's not a Cooper S, it's not a Clubman GT. It really doesn't matter what I do with this car because it's never going to be worth a lot of money. It's not a collectible version of the Mini, unfortunately, but that's good in a way because I can make it the car that I want it to be. But what I wanted to do in this video was see if I could actually get the car running myself. So here we've got effectively the essentials that we need to get going on the project. We've got a new battery, 5 litres of oil, we've got some degreaser for the engine bay, carby cleaner, new oil filter, fuel filter, and I've actually bought a while ago this new ignition system, so new distributor, leads and coil. So this is the documentation that came with the new ignition system I've got for the car from Rob Roy Classic Road and Track, and it gives you all of the instructions and warnings and diagrams as well, which all help with the process of installing this on the car. So let's have a closer look at the car. Now it's a fairly straight example, there's nothing too bad in terms of damage. Years ago I'd done an undercoat in this sort of red colour in the areas that I thought were rusting, and I tried to get rid of as much of the bog and crap that I could. These wheels, I actually got these when I was in Thailand. I realised that the tuk-tuks that were riding around there had the same stud pattern, and these wheels were super cheap there with tyres as well. Now at the front of the car here, there has been an accident in the past, and I've taken the front bumper off because I'm actually making a custom bumper for it at the moment. But the cars, you can see here, there's a weld mark here. It's actually been welded in this corner new, and you can see the way it doesn't quite line up with the grille on the right side here, on the driver's side. Left side of the car is not too bad. All doors swinging really well. And I'd taken the paint off the trunk here because I do intend on repainting the car at some point. But of course, like most projects and most Mini people, there are multiple projects and there is not enough time or money to go around. Right, having a look inside now. I've stripped most of this car out because there were so many holes in the floor. When you drove in the rain, water would flick up and basically stick in the carpet, and obviously that's no good for it. So at some stage I ripped out the carpet and did an undercoat. It didn't fully stop all of the rust. So if you look down here, you can see really clearly that there's a lot of loose sort of metal and things. It hasn't gone completely through, but in some spots it has. There are a couple of spots it has, so I really need to get someone in here to sort of weld up the holes and then properly paint it. Again though, this floor isn't too bad for a Mini. All of this is solid. It's pretty good, it's still recoverable. I'm just going to weld up all of these holes. I've got all these plugs and these little plastic covers and clips and things that are original with the car. It doesn't matter that you know, that those are not being replaced with original on this sort of Mini. I'm just going to fix it up, make sure it's solid, make sure it's all metal there, and get it properly undercoated. These seats at some stage were recovered. I put these seats into the car. They're actually originally off a 77 998cc Mini LS, and if you look at the top of the seats here, you'll see that they've got this kind of polka dot finish, and that's the original finish that was over the whole seats, and then someone had them redone in this blue vinyl, which looks okay, but I'm eventually going to change that trim. If you look at the back seats, that's how the front seats originally would have been in the LS model, but they're not original to this car, these seats. I think originally this car probably had a a cream type material like what's seen over the back wheel arch through there. And of course you can see on the floor here the original sort of Kermit green that that applied to this car. I'm tempted to redo the car in Kermit green. I think it looks really good, and at one stage it kind of went out of fashion, but now for a 70s car it's looking pretty popular, and you can see the colour as well over on inside the doors where I've taken off the door cards. It needs new headlining, it needs a bit of dash work. There's a huge hole in the headlining there that's always been there since I got the car. I've got a Rover dash to put in it, so a timber dash, and other bits and pieces I've collected over the years. That's actually off a Holden GTS, but I'm going to somehow mount that on there because I think it looks good. I've got a bunch of other bits and pieces, new carpets, all sorts of things to put in the car, as well as all new rubbers. Inside the boot floor here, just so you can get an idea of the condition of this car. The boot floor, most of it is solid. There's a fair bit of rust where someone's put, by the looks of it, sort of fiberglass or something at the rear here, but at the front it's actually all solid metal, no problem. There's a small hole there which could easily be tacked up. In the battery box, which Minis are notorious for rusting in, it's actually solid in there. There's nothing major that needs doing. There's probably a little bit of tacking and small holes and things, which is typical for a Mini. So look, in terms of how bad the boot floor is for a Mini, not bad at all. Looking down the passenger side of the car, and just in terms of how much rust we're looking at in the sills, down the side of the sills is okay and it seems to all be solid metal, but when you come to the front here you can see there's a massive hole there where it's all rusted, and Minis are notorious for rusting here. Stones flick up, take off the paint, and it just starts to destroy itself. So the base of the A-pillar obviously has a lot of filler that's packed in there. Also, just at the top here of the A-pillar, there's obviously some filler that's been put in here and not very well finished. The Beaver panel at the rear of the car here has a few dents and things. The car was originally fitted with a tow ball, believe it or not. There's sort of a big dent there, obviously, where that's been used, and then the right corner there is some rust. But that panel won't need replacing. That'll just be able to be tacked up here and there where it needs to be. So again, on the driver's side here, some more filler there, even some more filler. And the constant issue that we have with Minis again is down here. Bit of filler. I don't know whether this is, I don't know how bad this is. A lot of dirt and mud and things there from when this car was rolling around a paddock. It looks okay. But we'll have to just clean that up and see how bad it is eventually once we get to the stage of rust repairs. So that's it for this episode. Next episode we'll be starting the engine work on the car with the timing kit and trying to get the thing running. So like and subscribe, and we'll see you then.